Society is more divided than ever. But that's not a coincidence. It's actually by design. In fact, it's always been the design of our dual-natured reality. Because when people are divided, when they're separated, they're easier to control. We're just becoming more aware of this now because we're becoming more connected, so the problem's easier to see. But I want to offer a third option to this black and white bipartisan worldview that keeps so many of us trapped, and that's called the middle path. Now, the middle path, when people first hear it, is often written off as a cop-out. It's thought of as pacifism, that the person's too weak to make a decision, that it's the good man doing nothing while evil prevails. None of these could be more wrong. The middle path is choosing to step away from the game with the washed out field that's been rigged to only benefit those who control the narrative to a new game, one where they and like-minded individuals can control the value, where the value goes, and how things are built. This entirely new field where everybody is a winner. It's essentially leaving the zero-sum game called the rat race to the positive-sum game called life. And this is what I help people with, because many people, myself included, had to come to this realization the hard way, and there's no reason for it. There's no reason why anybody should go through some major life event that uproots your life and almost kills you just to learn the formula for creating your own value. They're two totally separate conversations. But that's kind of where people arrive at this information at, is after some major life event. And so I help people by just learning how to see the boundaries of their current systems, i.e. their matrix. Now, before you start, the matrix is nothing but you. The matrix is the mind is the all that makes up reality, because reality is objectively subjective. Yes, whether you realize it or not, every day you are creating your reality through your default worldviews. These worldviews are essentially your subjective inputs that make up your ego. These subjective inputs create your subjective outputs, and those subjective outputs essentially are your everyday life. The ego is not some monster either. It's the most powerful tool that you have that you just don't know how to use yet. And until you learn how to use it, you can't create your own game. And until you create your own game, you're stuck playing somebody else's. So, how do you escape? The way out is in. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. However, when you make it conscious, it becomes a program. And programs are readable and writable. And there's no such thing as business problems. Business problems are just personal problems showing up as bugs in your business. And instead of showing you how to debug your programs and how to write your programs, the self-help and advice industry has essentially become a Ponzi scheme, selling people information about how to be successful by selling other people information about how to sell information to other people about how to be successful. And so this insane echo chamber of low-level parroting has become a minefield that keeps people trapped for years, buying cheap dopamine and expensive retreats. But again, the way out is in, and the way in is called self-discipline. Now, discipline has been hijacked. It's been hijacked to mean essentially temperance, but even then, temperance has been bastardized to mean this weird form of self-torture. Discipline is a field of study. It's discipleship. And so you are becoming a student of self. The reason many people struggle to do this is because they don't like themselves. And they don't like themselves because they don't know themselves. And so they'll do anything to avoid being by themselves because they're lonely. And this could look like putting themselves in situations where people will take advantage of them. But the thing is, if you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. And in business, that looks like overselling to nightmare clients, to underselling your own value, and pretty much just running yourself straight into burnout so you avoid sitting in the silence with your own mind. As a student of self, you start to get to know yourself. And you get to know yourself the same way that you would learn to get to know anybody else. You hang out with you. You go to restaurants by yourself, you go to movies, you find out what you like, what you dislike, who do you want to be. And that last point is where you start focusing on, because that's your player character for the game of life. That person is how you start showing up in life, and life in turn will respond in kind, because again, you create it. But now, you're creating it intentionally. So the middle path isn't about escaping reality. It's just deciding who you show up as. And you do this by taking initiative, leveraging personal accountability, which is just accounting for your success metrics, your inputs and your outputs, and essentially the other levers that get you closer to your North Star, and personal responsibility, your ability to respond to essentially unknowns, because life is chaos, and chaos just means unknown variables. So you'll be starting your adventure from scratch. Think of yourself as a level 1 wizard, so give yourself some grace here. Do not compare yourself to somebody's level 12. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Failure isn't real if you don't stop. It's just success in progress. If you've ever played D&D, you know just how squishy level 1 wizards are. So again, give yourself some grace here. But you also know that level 20 wizards are shiny golden gods. So keep going, and good luck.